Hey everyone, welcome to Royce Reports. I'm your host Royce, and on this channel we talk mostly Xbox related news, but I do dabble in other gaming related topics and reviews. So if you think you might be interested in that, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And today we're going to be going over the potential bias towards PlayStation in this Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard and how the EU might be treating this deal unfairly. So with that, let's get into the news. Alright, so over the past week, we've had some very interesting things come to light, which is a member of the regulating company, the EU Commission, has come out and said some things on his Twitter, and it kind of shows some bias towards PlayStation. And it is mind-blowing to me that someone in this position could make a statement like this and kind of in the hopes of getting away with it, and not really understanding the ramifications of their action. And so the European Commission responds after Microsoft Activision comments from staffer received backlash. Ricardo Cardosa, the deputy head of interinstitutional and outreach at the governing body, tweeted earlier this week that the commission is working to ensure you'll be able to play Call of Duty on other consoles, including my PlayStation. Also on our to-do list, update stock pictures. These gamers have wired controllers, whereas Xbox and PlayStation have wireless ones since about 2006. Obviously, there's a lot of people talking about this right now because this is a big deal. I know that you've heard about the Activision Blizzard acquisition and the deals and all this rumors and all these companies having to say stuff a million times, and we're talking about a million one times. And this is actually very important. This is a really different thing. This is something that shouldn't have happened. And whenever this guy who is working for this huge regulator body that is going over and combing over this huge deal, one of the biggest deals, the biggest deal in gaming history, and you show bias towards that in any way, then you should be stepping away from that deal. You should not be involved with this whatsoever. It's plain and simple. That is the whole point of this. This is something that you're supposed to look at, scrutinize, and be able to determine, hey, is this bad for the consumers? Is this bad for competition? Is this a monopoly? Those are things you're supposed to look at. You're not supposed to be sitting there thinking, okay, how do I continue to play Call of Duty on my PlayStation? Don't worry, guys. We're going to be able to ensure that Call of Duty is always going to be able to be played on PlayStation. That's not your job. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to make sure that I could still play Spyro on my Switch. That's not your job. Your job is to determine, hey, if that they decide to take this off, will it affect the market? If they close these things off, will it destroy this company? If they do these things, will it cause an adverse effect in the market? That's what you're supposed to be doing. Not, don't worry, you'll still be able to play Warzone on your PlayStation just fine. Like, that's not what you're there for. So obviously this guy was getting a lot of flack, and I just kind of want to break down his sort of statement here. So the commission is working to ensure that you will still be able to play Call of Duty on other consoles, parentheses, including my PlayStation. All right, right there, it shows that he has a sense of ownership. He is talking about his PlayStation, not his Xbox, not his Switch, not his PC, his PlayStation. Mine, I own that. And then he also says, also on our to-do list, update stock pictures. Gamers have wired controllers, whereas Xbox, PlayStation have wireless ones since about 2006. Now, this is not related to what he's trying to state with the EU Commission. This is him talking about the stock photo that they used, right? For what the EU Commission was trying to, for retweeting that. But when you look at that and he says, our stock photos, that means his company, our company, where I work at, where I make my money, where I get my living from. This is mine. This is ours. This. That's all a sense of ownership, meaning that you have a sense of ownership on your PlayStation. You have a sense of ownership in this company, and when you are having that bias towards that PlayStation and also talking about the company that you're working for, and the company that you're working for is currently going through this deal, that means that you are biased. You want PlayStation to succeed in this deal. You want them to come out on top. And that is obvious in this. Now, he did come out and clarify some things, but before he did that, everyone assumed that he worked at this location and that you were involved with the deal, right? Until he had to come out and clarify something. But before you do that, you also got to realize that even if you work at that company, you still have friends in that company. You still have friends in other departments. This sounds to me that when he says the commission is working to ensure that you will still be able to play Call of Duty on other consoles, that sounds to me that he is an insider. He knows what's going on. He knows what's happening on the other side of that door. And why does he know that? How does he know that? If he's not involved in this in any way, how does he know that the EU Commission is making sure that they are going to continue to have Call of Duty on PlayStation? That sounds to me that they are going to make a concession to Xbox saying, in order for this deal to go through, you have to maintain Call of Duty on PlayStation in perpetuity. That's what that sounds like to me. And how would you know that unless you knew someone that worked there? So he did come out and clarify some things in a follow-up tweet. This follow-up tweet took 4 days to come out. But he said, to clarify, I am not involved in the assessment of the merger and don't even work in the department dealing with mergers. As is clear from my profile, my comments are personal and not a commission position, whose decision will be taken on the basis of the facts and the law. How is this clear? How is this obvious? If it was so clear and obvious, people wouldn't be tweeting about it. People wouldn't be talking about this because they would know, okay, this guy doesn't work there. This guy doesn't work in that specific field. But it doesn't matter because you know people that work in that specific field. You could still sway people's opinions if you know someone. And the fact that you have to clarify that means to me that someone told him, hey, what the fuck are you doing? This looks bad. Because this is just fuel for Microsoft to potentially sue the EU for bias. And they have every single right to do that. This is the lawyers over there at Microsoft are sitting there like, oh yeah, that's good. That's some good stuff right there. Like it got to the point where even the EU had to come out. The EU Commission had to come out and say a clarifying statement. The statement, while factuality in line with the remit of the body, was met with criticism from some players over perceived Sony bias, especially following repeated assurance from Xbox claiming Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation for the foreseeable future. Now, the European Commission has clarified in a statement to Tweaktown that Cardosa is not involved in the process whatsoever. Mr. Cardosa works in the Director General for the Internal Market and not in the Directorate General for Competition, the statement reads. Mr. Cardosa is not involved in the assessment of this transaction. Furthermore, as indicated clearly in his Twitter profile, he tweets in a personal capacity. Clearly, they're just trying to play this off as, hey, look, like, obviously this guy is just, he could tweet whatever he wants. He could be biased and not everything. So I get it. At the same time, like, hey, he is just a human being and he does have opinions like everybody else, just like me and you. But it's just that in the position that you're in, when you are that close to the deal and that you're able to talk to the people that are involved with this deal, especially since, it's our company, then that tells me that there's something going on behind closed doors that we're not really seeing. And the fact that someone had to come over to him and tell him, make a clarifying statement because this is going to look bad. So go and do that. That's why he went and did that. I don't think he just randomly woke up and was just like, let me clarify why I said those things. No, he doesn't give a shit. That's why he put it in the first place. Like, he didn't remove the tweet. He just clarified because because news was coming out. And not only did he had to put something out, but the EU Commission had to come out and actually say something. So that also tells me that they're trying to save face as well. So this is just them trying to prevent them from getting sued for whenever they try to make a concession, which is probably going to be PlayStation shall receive Call of Duty in perpetuity and that's it. And I don't know if Xbox is really going to buy that, or if they're going to take that. I mean, they keep saying that, hey, we will continue to support PlayStation with Call of Duty as long as there's a PlayStation to ship on, which sounds like in perpetuity to me. But, you know, words don't really mean things. It's contracts that actually mean things. So in a recent interview with Tom Warren, Microsoft Xbox's chief settles the Call of Duty PlayStation debate once and for all. It's not about at some point I pull the rug underneath PlayStation 7's legs and it's, haha, you just didn't write the contract long enough, says Spencer. There's no contract that could be written that says forever. This idea that we would write a contract that says the word forever in it, I think is a little bit silly, but to make a longer term commitment with Sony would be comfortable with, regulators would be comfortable with, I have no issues with that at all, says Spencer. Some spectators on social media have been picking holes at Microsoft's use of intent, or that it may require Sony to accept Game Pass on its platforms, or even that companies' commitments are just words that need to be in a paper contract. Spencer doesn't agree that this stuff needs to be written down. Instead, Spencer is trying to make it clear that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation, no strings attached, no need for Xbox Game Pass, and no trickery around intent. Native Call of Duty on PlayStation, not linked to them having to carry Game Pass, not streaming. If they want a streaming version of Call of Duty, we could do that as well, just like we do on our own consoles. There's nothing behind my back. It is the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 doing great on PlayStation, doing great on Xbox. The next game, the next game, native on the platform, not having to subscribe to Game Pass. Sony does not have to take Game Pass on their platform to make that happen. There's nothing hidden. We want to continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation without any kind of weird, aha, I figured out the gotcha, as Phil said, our intent. I understand some people's concerns on this, and I'm just trying to be as clear as I can. So this is just them trying to reiterate the fact that they don't want to leave Call of Duty on just Xbox and PC. They want Call of Duty everywhere it can possibly be. And because of the numbers that it is doing, because of the player count necessary to maintain the great impact that this has on gaming as a whole, they want to maintain this on PlayStation. They want to bring it to other platforms. They even said it's not about pulling the rug underneath PlayStation 7's legs. That's the whole point. They're going to continue to ensure that this is going to be on PlayStation. This is going to be on phones. This is going to be on Switch. This is going to be on Xbox. It's going to be on PC. It's going to be on your TV. It's going to be everywhere, the cloud, wherever it is. They want Call of Duty there because that is what's going to make the money. Not having it exclusive on Xbox and PC. That is not what's going to make you money. Look at Halo Infinite, for example. Yeah, it had 20 million people the first few weeks or whatever, but it ended up dying off pretty quickly because they didn't have that support that was necessary to build that community. So that is the same thing. They don't want that to happen again. And how do you prevent that from happening? Having Call of Duty on all platforms. I want to know if that's going to happen. And I mean, you see how important this deal is. You see how important Call of Duty is. And with Modern Warfare 2's release, it just goes to show how really massive Call of Duty is. I mean, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 hits $1 billion in revenue in 10 days, faster than any past COD title. Right there. That says it right there in itself. Like, this is huge. Huge. Activision Blizzard has announced that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has surpassed $1 billion in global sell-through revenue over its first 10 days since release on October 28th. Modern Warfare 2 made $1 billion faster than any previous Call of Duty game, surpassing the previous record holder, which is 2012's Black Ops 2, $1 billion in 15 days. This follows Activision's previous announcement that Modern Warfare 2 earned $800 million in global sell-through revenue in 3 days. Take-Two's Grand Theft Auto 5 remains the fastest-selling game of all time based on launch revenue, as the game minted $1 billion in revenue in 3 days. So the previous holder was Modern Warfare 3, which made $800 million in 5 days. So obviously Call of Duty is massive. You see by those numbers. And that's the thing, right? Is that you could say that, oh, this is potentially damning for PlayStation if you go and you take Call of Duty away from those gamers. And that's true. It could potentially be really damning for those players. But at the same time, you see how much money it's made, which is a ridiculous amount of money. And that money would not be made unless you release it on all platforms like they did. There's no way you would have broken that record if you didn't just if you just release it exclusively on PlayStation or exclusively on Xbox. And Microsoft knows that. They're not fucking idiots. They're a $1 trillion company for a reason, because they're not fucking idiots. And that is just more fuel to the fire as to why they're going to continue to release Call of Duty on PlayStation. It is obvious, and they said multiple times, it does not make any business sense to just release Call of Duty on Xbox and PC. It does not. Especially since you're spending so much money on this acquisition, you kind of want to make that money back. And how are you going to do that? Well, by doing exactly that, releasing it on all platforms. And people like to make the argument that, yeah, Switch is doing very fine without Call of Duty. And I agree. PlayStation would do just fine without Call of Duty, even if they did decide to do that, which they won't. But if they did, I think PlayStation would be very fine on its own without it. I mean, you have those exclusives that are very, very good that people are going to the console for. They're going to play Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, GT7. The list goes on and on and on. So with that deal, I don't think there's nothing to be worried about with Microsoft making Call of Duty exclusive, especially after those numbers. That's not, it's like making GTA 6 exclusive to just PlayStation and in hopes of, yeah, hopefully we'll beat GTA 5. You won't. Not like that. So yeah, that's not gonna happen with it. I haven't gotten into Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 yet. I am super just stacked with other games, and I'm currently playing God of War Ragnarok, so that's been taking most of my time whenever I do have any time to play. And yeah, with after that, I'm gonna try to jump into Gotham Knights, especially since the passing of Kevin Conroy. I kind of want to do something that will remind me of him. And I know that he's not in the game, but just being around DC right now is definitely gonna make me feel a little bit better. And hopefully Gotham Knights is better than what people are saying. But yeah, this is, I can't believe that they're saying this. I can't believe that this is happening. You know, like at the same time, you could just say, hey, it's just one guy. But that's one guy's opinion. It's the people who are the loudest that tend to be the ones that share other people's opinions, the ones that are too scared to say anything. And I feel like you look at the EU as a whole, and the EU sales of the PlayStation compared to the Xbox are night and day. The amount of PlayStations that they move in the EU is huge, and that's why Jim Ryan is in the position that he's in right now, is because of how he was able to take the control of the market of the EU and pretty much make it one of their biggest markets. And it's really hard for Xbox to kind of break into that. And so it's so weird that they're looking at these numbers, and you could see worldwide PlayStation is outselling Xbox. It has been the market leader pretty much since the beginning, the past 20 years. It is, you have PlayStation making these exclusive deals, making exclusive games, making deals to bar Game Pass games from entering Game Pass.
You shall not!
Game Pass. When this company like Microsoft is buying Call of Duty, that is what they decide to do. That is their money. And whatever they decide to do with the IP that they own is up to them. And everyone keeps talking about Call of Duty, like Call of Duty this, Call of Duty that, but they're not really talking about the real showstopper, which is Gun. 2005, Gun. Come on. I know this game will make $2 billion if they do Gun 2. I just know it. It's obvious. And bring back Gun. It'll compete with Red Dead. But you have all these IP that are owned by Activision, and they talk about it all the time, right? You have Call of Duty, you have Overwatch, you have StarCraft, you have this and that, blah blah blah. Spyro and Crash and Guitar Hero, and these are all great examples of, yeah, they have all these IP, but at the same time, they haven't touched those IP in a very long time. and the only one that they're really focusing on is Call of Duty. So with this is something that is going to help gamers in the long run. They will be able to hopefully give the support that these companies need in order to make their own games, in order to step away from the COD machine and kind of focus on their own personal dreams and chase whatever they want to do. And that's what I'm hoping for this deal, is that mainly, and Gun 2 making $2 billion. But what do you know? But yeah, this is a huge deal. This is crazy. I can't believe this is happening. I don't think that this guy should be anywhere near this. I don't think he should be saying these things. These are all things that you just don't have to say. There you go. If he just never said it, nothing would have happened. If he never said, hey, on my PlayStation, you know, no one would be talking about this guy. But he went and he said that, and that kind of has this avalanche effect of getting shit on. But also Pentiment released, and I heard great things. So if you're interested in Pentiment, be sure to check it out. It's on Game Pass. I probably won't be able to because, like I said, God of War Ragnarok, Gotham Knights, Modern Warfare 2, and then that's going to lead into probably December, where the Callisto Protocol comes out, and High on Life. So I feel like Pentiment is going to fall to the wayside despite the good reviews. But if you're interested in that is now available to you on your Game Pass subscription. What do you think? Do you think that this guy is shouldn't have said those things? Do you think that he is showing bias? And do you think that this proves that the EU Commission is also biased towards PlayStation when PlayStation dominates that area already? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Thank you for the most recent subscribers. Thank you for all of you guys that are deciding to listen and to check me out. I appreciate it a lot. So thank you, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. And remember, take it easy.